Hello everyone, it is Elaine. This video is going to be a little different. I'm going to kind of deviate away from religious trauma. Um, October is a very special month as far as celebrating Filipino-American History Month. So I just want to give space and honor for that. Um, and then on Monday, it was Indigenous Peoples Day. So I do want to give recognition to all the indigenous tribes in the Philippines. Um, and their culture and their history. And I think how, it's important to shed light on those communities as well, because a lot of their practices are not, I wouldn't say dying out, but they aren't given as much attention. And I just want to give space for that. And also October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I just want to preface by saying when I went to San Diego State University in graduate school, my thesis or my capstone, so that's like this big project that we all have to do at the end of the program. I dedicated it to unraveling the narratives or the stories of Filipinas who have experienced intimate partner violence, also known as domestic family violence or domestic violence. So with that being said, this video is going to take a look at a specific case that happened here in San Diego, California. Before I mention any names and before I dive into the case, I just want to give uh, some attention to the family that, the victims in this story, which is, you know, I'm speaking on this because I would like to educate people so that if this happens in your relationship, you seek the help and you get the resources you need. Um, Domestic family violence is still a very touchy subject. A lot of collectivistic communities, a lot of ethnic communities don't want to readily speak about it for fear of shame, for fear of blame, for fear of being put in a negative light. But at the same time, I think it's important that we start to unravel these stories so that people can stop suffering and it can prevent people from having more pain, and it can prevent intergenerational trauma. It can prevent people from dying because in some extreme cases, domestic violence or domestic family violence results in death. And so that's why I'm speaking up on it. I've heard so many stories personally of friends or colleagues that I've worked with who have been victimized by their partners physically and emotionally. And this is the reason why I went to graduate school, because I wanted to study why this happens, why this phenomenon is so common. And it really touches my heart because I want to shed light on this issue so that people can live their life in peace and people can understand what real love really means. And real love does not mean hitting or abusing your partner. Um, so this case happened in San Diego, California. The perpetrator or the DV abuser was a man named Ali Abulaban. He was married to a Filipina named Anna Abulaban. And unfortunately, she has passed, and I just want to give space for her family, that I'm even speaking upon this because I'm sure her family is still dealing with the ramifications. I'm sure her family is still grieving for their loss. It's so painful to lose a family member, but on top of that, to lose a family member to domestic family violence is even more painful. And then for Ali Abulaban's family, um, they're grieving too, the loss of their son. And they did have a child. So at the end of everything, their child is the one that loses out, because her, you know, father is in prison and the mom is no longer here on earth. So I just want to share my screen so that I can give you guys a little bit of a depiction of the case. So this was Ali Abulaban, or this is Ali Abulaban. He has been currently sentenced to a life in prison without parole for the murder of Anna Abulaban and her friend Ray Barron. Um, Towards the end of their relationship, I've done a lot of research on this. I've watched documentaries and I've also listened to court testimony during the trial because it was streamed online. You can look this up on YouTube or Google it. But basically, the backstory was Ali and Anna met, I believe, on the East Coast, and then um, he became really popular on social media via TikTok, and he gained a lot of I guess you could say a following because of his impersonations and his impressions of certain movies. And so he gained a lot of attention in that way. And then after some years, they moved to San Diego to start a new life, to start a new chapter. And Anna flourished in San Diego. She, you know, she became more independent as far as, going out, spending time with her friends and, going to clubs and partying. And that's a part of, you know, exploring, and that's a part, is a part of her, a way of expressing her individuality. But I think for Ali Abulaban, that was a threat for him because he felt like he was losing his partner to, the dynamic shifted. She was no longer your typical wife as far as, staying at home, and she wanted to spend time with her friends and she wanted to go out and meet people. And in retrospect, looking back, like there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but he started to abuse cocaine. So he had a substance abuse addiction at the time of the murder. And he also had untreated mental illness. As far as I know, he had a history of an impulse control disorder, which is ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I don't know the depths of his mental health history. I don't know if he was treated as an adolescent with medication. I don't know if he went to therapy as an adolescent. Um, so this video is gonna touch on how I would treat Ali Abulaban if I was his therapist. If you look through and research this case, um, the type of domestic violence that Ali Abulaban um, used to control Anna it's called patriarchal terrorism. And there's different types of domestic family violence, but with patriarchal terrorism, it's the most extreme form of domestic family violence, in that perpetrators of domestic violence typically will use patriarchal terrorism to subjugate and control and dominate their partners so that they can keep them close, so that they can exert this almost like this all-encompassing power. But I don't know if Ali Abulaban was aware that this type of power that he was exerting over Anna was pushing her away. And in the end, he created a self-fulfilling prophecy. What I mean by self-fulfilling prophecy is that, okay, at the deep core root of his insecurities was a sense of fear. He didn't want to lose Anna to another man. He didn't want Anna to flourish. He didn't want Anna to go out as much. He didn't like the attention Anna was gaining from friends and social media outlets. He felt threatened by that. He felt scared that somehow he was going to lose her. And in addition to his cocaine addiction, as well as his narcissism, which I don't know if he was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, but I'm pretty sure he had some type of personality disorder that leaned towards narcissism, because he exhibited a sense of entitlement. He, through his domestic violence, exhibited a sense of just like a pathological, almost sociopath. Um, Very manipulative behaviors, very extreme verbal abuse, which is documented in some documentaries on Peacock. Oh, actually, it's one documentary on Peacock called the TikTok murders. So you can go ahead and look that up if you're interested in knowing more about this case. Um, so essentially, uh, with his patriarchal terrorism, to go back to the self-fulfilling prophecy, what happens in these instances is that these men want to dominate because they feel like in their mind, if I behave in this way, it will it will prevent the person from leaving. But what you're doing in reality is pushing that person away because they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to feel loved in the way that they deserve to be loved. So, by him verbally abusing Anna, by him physically controlling Anna, by him exerting domestic violence over Anna, you end up shooting yourself in the foot because you end up losing your partner anyway. At the deep core root of it is fear of losing your partner, but you're acting in a way where you're pushing your partner away and then you end up losing them anyway. So, to my knowledge, Ali Abulaban was not in therapy. He was not in domestic violence group. He was not seeking treatment for his substance abuse disorder, which is his cocaine addiction. And I don't know exactly what his cultural background is. I know he's some type of, correct me if I'm wrong, like from the Middle East. And according to court testimony, he witnessed domestic violence within the home. So those learned patterns of behavior were ingrained in him. And I think a combination of his untreated mental health disorders, in addition to what he saw and observed within the home, in addition to his narcissistic traits, all of that combined, and then he turned out to be one of the worst perpetrators of domestic family violence. Um, and at the end, Anna and her friend are the ones to lose out in this, as well as their child. Um, I know that Anna, from what I've witnessed, from watching documentaries and looking at the court testimony and his the trial, that Anna was trying to get away from him. She had already mentally checked out. When someone is physically abusing you and when someone is calling you names and hurling insults at you, that's not love. That's abuse. So I'm sure she was already mentally disassociating from the relationship. If you are scared of losing your partner, if you are terrified of losing your partner, there is a way to convey that without resulting into violence. You could say, I love you, I want to be with you. You have to really tap into your emotions. But when you're in a constant state of dysregulation and when you have a cocaine addiction, that is going to inhibit you from acting in a way that's pleasing to your partner. Your partner is not going to be receptive to you when you're acting in ways that are destroying the relationship. And Anna knew that. Towards the end of the relationship, she knew it was becoming toxic and unhealthy. So she was distancing herself and she was mentally checking out. And there's this narrative going around that Anna deserved it. Oh, she's a cheater. Oh, this and that. You know, it's her fault. I just want to say that with victim blaming, she trusted her husband. She trusted him to love her and respect her. So when you are physically and being verbally abused, it's hard to trust your partner because that sense of attachment and security is disrupted. The trust is gone. The trust is violated. The boundaries have been crossed. And for Anna, she was mentally beaten up, and physically beaten up as well. There have been photos of her with bruises as a result of Ali Abulaban's inability to control his anger and his inability to reach out for help. It was too late. It was too late. He could have reached out to a therapist that specialized in domestic family violence. He could have reached out to a therapist that was of his cultural background. There are resources in San Diego, California that specialize in domestic family violence. There are domestic violence groups. But when that rhetoric of I don't need therapy is common in a lot of cultures and for a lot of men, you end up shooting yourself in the foot because you lose the very thing that you were trying not to lose, which was his family. So, if any of you are watching this, I just want to say that cases like this happen frequently. Um, and if you are experiencing any domestic family violence and you're afraid of speaking up, I understand the predicament that you're in because I know that there are a lot of factors that are involved. People can't just easily leave, especially if their husband is or their wife, because women can become perpetrators of domestic violence as well, are the ones making the money. If you are religious, but your husband is or wife is abusing you and divorce is not allowed in your religion, then I understand, but at the end of the day, your mental health, you have to kind of weigh out what's important to you. Um, and tragic cases like this shouldn't be happening as often as they are. So with respect to Anna and her family, um, you know, I hope that me even just shedding light on this a little bit can prevent other families from going through this excruciatingly painful situation. Uh, if I was Ali Abulaban's therapist, I wouldn't be able, well, I just want to say, if I was a couple therapist, I wouldn't be able to treat both Anna and Ali in the same session because with patriarchal terrorism, which is the worst form of domestic family violence, which Ali Abulaban used, it would be contraindicated, meaning that I wouldn't be able to treat them both. Ali would need his own therapy that looks like treating his impulse disorder, which was his ADHD, if it's on the severe or moderate scale, through medication, through holistic therapy, anger management classes, and then also he would need to treat his narcissism. He would need to treat his cocaine addiction. So he had multiple co-occurring disorders that need to be treated. And then with Anna, her own individual therapy as well. Um, this is a tragic case. It's a sad case. But hopefully, there's some light at the end of the tunnel here where other people who are experiencing this can learn from it and take away something from it. And uh, if you are interested in learning more about domestic family violence, or if you are seeking resources for people, maybe you know someone who's experiencing DV, I'll leave some resources below. When I was at San Diego State University, one of my professors specialized, he's Iranian American. He specialized in domestic family violence, and he works with men in domestic violence group. He works with actual perpetrators. So I'll leave that information below. This is a book that I have. It's called It's My Life Now. Starting over after an abuse. Oh, you can't see it. Well, I'll just leave it in the book. I mean, I'll just leave it in the description box, but it's called It's My Life Now, Starting Over After an Abusive Relationship or Domestic Violence by Meg Kennedy Dugan and Roger R. Hawk. So I'll go ahead and leave that if you want to delve into some psychoeducation. With that being said, I wanted to share this because it is Domestic Family Violence or Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it is Filipino-American History Month. And to all my Filipino women out there who are experiencing domestic family violence, I really encourage you to seek help, to seek some outside support. I know that divorce is illegal in the Philippines. And that's unfortunate because in the cases where women are being abused by their husbands, I think that they should be able to divorce their husbands if they are being abused, threatened, manipulated, stalked, hit, choked, slapped, all of those things. They should be able to divorce their partners if they are experiencing pain like that. Okay, so with that being said, this is the end of my presentation or my little rant. I just finished a couples therapy course where we delved into domestic violence. So I wanted to uh, give honor to those victims who have been, uh, you know, in situations like this. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you're struggling with your mental health, I highly suggest that you reach out to a trained, licensed mental health professional so that you can get the support you need and you can give your partner the love that they deserve and yourself the love that you deserve as well. All right, bye.